All right, now this is why I believe Kevin Smith knows something about evolution. All right, now if you've been following this channel, I've been talking about how cetaceans they pass adaptive genes and move onto the land, which is technically the fish that walks on land, which is the walrus. Okay, and that's a step. Technically, it's a manatee in between there. The manatee is like a transitional state where it's trying to become a mammalian to walk on land. Then it's the walrus, you know, and the walrus and the carpenter. Now, this is what Loki's talking about here.
Well, there you have it.
Let me get this straight. You don't believe in God because of Alice in Wonderland?
Now, through the looking glass. That poem, The Walrus and the Carpenter, that's an indictment of organized religion. The walrus, with his girth and his good nature, he obviously represents either Buddha or with his tusks, the Hindu elephant god, Lord Ganesha.
Okay, technically that ties in with the ivory. That's before the animals, when we started evolving on the land, lost their ivory and started growing hair. So there's a connection in there with all these gods and all these animals that it's like they're trying to tell us about evolution. It's like they're trying to show us. I ain't gonna get into anyway. Just
takes care of your Eastern religions. Now, the carpenter, which is an obvious reference to Jesus Christ, who was raised the carpenter's son, he represents the Western religions.
All right, and technically, what they do in The Walrus and the Carpenter is he explains it here.
Now, in the poem, what do? What do? They dupe all these oysters into following them, and then proceed to shuck and devour the helpless creatures en masse.
Yeah, so they eat them. They let them follow them, and they believe everything they're saying, all this, and then at the end, they eat them. Now, right here, he says bottom feeders. Now, look.
Just take whatever you want, but don't kill or rape me.
Oh, give over, Willie. I couldn't rape you if I wanted to. Angels are ill-equipped. See? I'm as anatomically impaired as a Ken doll. Now make yourself useful and give me that towel, will you? Honestly, you bottom feeders and your arrogance, you think everybody's just trying to get in your knickers.
See? Okay. Whales, cetaceans, are bottom feeders, except for the orca. It's a predator. But for the most part, they eat plankton and small bacteria, basically, and algae, stuff like that, like baleen whales do. And this is the Odontoceti, the sperm whale. He has teeth. Okay, this is a mutation of evolution to grow teeth. Okay, and this is like the primordial stage. A sperm whale means seed cetacean. Okay, it's like the seed mammal that's going to pass genes, because with Pitto's paradox, whales are immune to cancers. Okay, so they're not going to get cancers as much, but their genes that they pass, dwarf genes, mutated genes, adaptive genes to adaptive radiation, is going to give rise to new species over millions of years. All right, so 3/4 of a day is 18 hours. That's 6 times 3, which is 18. You'll see that a lot, okay? There's 18 stanzas. Okay, 6 times 36 is 216, okay? Which always ends up leading back to 6. And there's 108, which ties in with the solar system. Now, you can fit 108 Earths across the diameter of the sun, 108 Earths in between, or suns in between the Earth and the sun, and 108 moons between the Earth and the moon. Okay, so Alice grows large. That's the macrocosm. Alice shrinks. That's the microcosm. All right. See, this was written by a reverend and a mathematician, basically. So they knew something. Okay, and I think they knew the evolution, the secrets of evolution also, which ties in with the walrus a great deal, because that's the fish that walked on the land. It's a pinniped. It's a mammal. It's fish-like, but it's a mammal. So then I find out that this movie came out. I didn't even know this until about 5 or 6 months ago. That this movie came out in 2014, Tusk. A dude becomes or turns into a walrus or something. I haven't even seen it, but it was just ironic. Well, the production company, XYZ Productions, XYZ Films, that's just ironic. Because all of this about the X and the Y and the XYZ, Z is zeta mechanics. That's the 6. Zeta. Zeta is 6. See, I looked up and see if zeta mechanics exists. Or zeta mechanics doesn't exist. This is the closest thing to it, zeta potential. Okay? Everything about this coincides with things that are pre-singularity. Okay? and it's known to certain circles. I'm just saying. The nature of things is hidden from us and known to certain circles. And it's mainly Hollywood. See, if you remember this one, I made a video of it a couple of days ago. The 6, zeta, 1, 2, and 3, hydrogen, helium, and lithium. If you fuse those together, you get carbon. That's why I believe whenever the singularity formed, it's a carbon-based life form. Okay, the singularity is a carbon-based quantum zygote, just like we're carbon-based, but it's a pure energy phase. Okay, that's why we are created in God's image. You see what I'm saying? So, literally, the universe is a carbon-based macro supreme organism. It's like a supreme existence, supreme being. That's what it is, literally. And see how space is X because it's a female in nature, because it's like Mother Earth. It harbors or holds the area or the womb for the life to grow, the space. You see what I'm saying? And it decays into something, which are quarks, alpha. Okay, that's alpha decay. That's going to become, that's your Y factor. Okay, that Y factor also decays now into beta. Okay, that beta decay is now X. You see what I'm saying? It's hermaphroditic. Hermaphrodite, you know, protos, neutron, neuter of protos. That's what that means. The neuter of protos. So if you've ever seen that movie Prometheus, and it's talking about how the Uranus's organs or sperm or whatever, his testicles were thrown into the ocean. Technically, that's a unified field on Earth, a biological unified field. Okay, I'm gonna get ahead of myself if I don't stay on track. All right, but it's all about the X, Y, X, and then when you have the Y and X, you have growth, which is omega. Okay, Ohm's law. We use omega, Ohm's law, resistance. Okay, that's where we get our electrical current from. So, alpha decay is nuclear. Ohm's law is electric. So, it's like they're telling us something right there. And plus, the religions are like telling us something. Oh, see, we use Ohm's law, omega for Ohm's law. And that's the growth. See, it's all about the two energies, binary universe, Y and X. See? Just like Earth has a core, it's the Y, and it seeds through, hydrothermal vents, because it's all based on thermodynamics. Everything, the whole universe is based off thermodynamics. Everything, quantum thermodynamics. The Big Bang Theory creates more problems than it solves. But if you base it strictly on quantum physics and quantum thermodynamics, then it makes a lot more sense, even on a biological scale. And you can see and understand how a unified field on Earth, and it's a biological unified field. See, it's going to literally require nuclear energy, electrical energy, and radiation, more or less, biological compounds. You know, I mean, we know this stuff. But a unified field can be created if you understand how the unified field properly fits together. Because technically, like I was explaining on the other video, the electromagnetism is going to be the product. You're going to have three, the nuclear, the electric, and the gravity. And when you put those together, you'll get electromagnetism as your product energy. That's the fourth fundamental force. But it's a fourth fundamental product, not a product of forces, technically. You have three forces that are fundamental and then a fundamental product. That's their misconception and why they can't get that fusion generator to run properly. 20 seconds? Ooh, golly, that's so impressive. 20 whole friggin' seconds. Give me a break. So zeta is 6. The X and Y and Z factors. The Walrus, just throwing this out here, John Lennon, this song, God, I was the Walrus, but now I'm John, okay? The Walrus is the entertainment industry. I'm just saying, obey the Walrus, all right? Obey the Walrus, okay? Now this is creepy. And this, who do you think the Walrus is? In my opinion, it's the entertainment industry, all right? The goddess bunny, okay? This guy had polio and he was a transvestite, okay? And he got into the entertainment industry. And this probably broke him into the entertainment industry, doing this. Obey the Walrus, obey us. So I think they had something to do with John Lennon and Jesus' death, to be quite honest. The Walrus. Okay, which ties back in with the bottom feeders, you know. The humans, the people.
Look at my suit.
Look, just take whatever you want, but don't kill or rape me.
Oh, get over, will you? I couldn't rape you if I wanted to. Angels are ill-equipped.
Again, I'm just throwing this out here.
See? I'm as anatomically impaired as a kendo. Now make yourself useful and give me that towel, will you? Honestly, you bottom feeders and your arrogance, you think everybody's just trying to get in your knickers.
Oh yeah, an alpha particle's mass is 6.6. The 108, Buddha, Hinduism, the Bible, celestial rampart. The Sphinx is 66 feet tall, 240 feet long, which adds up to 6, and then 6-yard wide face. See, zeta is the 6th letter, but it has a value of 7. You see what I'm saying? The 6th and then the 7th day. The value of 6 and 7 here. Carbon and the rest. And I'm not saying rest chilling out. I'm saying the rest like the rest of everything. So I think R.C. Christian had something to do with the Walrus, the Georgia Guidestones. There's 6 stones, 18.6 year lunar declination cycle, 18.6, you know. R.C. Christian. R is 18, okay. C, 3, 54, 9, and it all reduces down to 6. Rose Cross Christian. It all reduces back to 18. And then when you do the weight, the height in inches, the opening date is 3/22/1980. You do all that, you still get the same thing. All that. See? I think that's the Walrus. The entertainment industry, basically the Catholic churches, in my opinion. I mean, I'm just throwing that out there. Okay? And anyone is, you know, free to debunk that. The Vatican is 108 acres. It's 108 Tibetan holy books. There's actually 66 versions of the Bible too, and Jesus was the 66th generation after Noah, I believe, as a matter of fact. And of course, you have all these values of 6 and 108. See, here's more values of 6 and 108. More Y and X factors. This is an ovum. Look how much it looks like a star, for God's sakes. So this is Y and X again. Now just throwing this out here again. Okay, cetaceans, they live in the water. They pass a gene, the manatee, okay? Now these guys still live in the water, but they're 4-chambered hearts and they give live birth. Finally, there's a gene passed, and now you finally have the walrus that walks on land. Now all these still have ivory. The hippo has ivory and the elephant has ivory, okay? The significance of the elephant and the ivory that I was talking about a little while ago. So at this point, mammals still have ivory, and we haven't lost it yet. But when we diverge and we pass the genes, eventually we're not living in water anymore. Okay, even elephants, they can walk upright. Okay, and they spend a lot of time in water, like the hippo. Okay, and the walrus. All these guys, but the rhino, where keratin starts forming. Okay, like I was explaining in the other videos about the horns and hair. Okay, the keratin. Parasodactyly. These elephants still have toes, but they're internal toes. Okay, this is a stage where our feet are starting to develop. You see what I'm saying? It's a developmental stage of the feet, and all of these little toenails here are going to eventually become hoof-like, and then the hooves are going to diverge into fingers and toes with toenails and fingernails at the end, and that's where the keratin. That this used to be hoof. I'm just saying. I'm just throwing it out there. Anyone's free to debunk that. But the walrus and the ivory and the religions and the nature of the universe and the entertainment industry, it all seems to tie into something that is being overlooked. To me. I mean, it seems to me like they know something they're not telling us, and they won't tell us. For whatever reason, and the reason I think is because it causes chaos and disturbance and confusion, and nobody's paying attention. And if people were paying attention, they'd be a little more scared than what they are. Well, they're actually starting to pay attention, okay? So that's the awakening, I guess, is what I'm talking about here. But people have been shut out for a long time, and it's about time they wake up.